Dear teachers and younger fellow students, I'm humbled by your virtual presence. I hope all of you and your beloved ones are safe and sound. And thank you very much for the time allotted to the evaluation of the current presentation. My topic for today is gender stereotyping, and it's basically an investigation of 3 English textbooks in Romania, Spain, and Taiwan. Okay, so basically I will begin with the motivation behind this present research. For time purposes, I choose to leave aside the theoretical insights on gender awareness and stereotyping, so I will be quickly introducing the target group and the textbooks that this research has been built on. Then we'll have a look at the research methods, which I have found to be really useful on this particular occasion. Then we'll have a quick glimpse on the textbooks analysis, and I'll end by sharing with you some of the thoughts I gathered from the students whilst working on my dissertation thesis and on my questionnaire. Now, regarding the rationale behind my research, I thought that for children there is no limit to what they believe they can become, but as girls and boys, children are steered in different directions as they do grow up. So this happens because of gender stereotypes, which in fact are nothing else but traditional ideas about what boys and girls can or should do. And they may not always be obvious, but stereotypes are everywhere, and they start to follow children from their early days. So I strongly believe that acknowledging the treatment of gender stereotypes in the English course books and their consequences is the first step teachers can make towards breaking the mold. So my main purpose, and the main purpose of this study, is to examine the presence of gender and sexually oriented stereotypes and assess how men and women are represented in 3 English as a foreign language textbooks published and currently in use in 3 rural schools in Romania, Spain, and Taiwan. The question guiding my research is: are there major contrasts between the 3 English course books in terms of gender representation, which could be regarded as a considerable educational conflict? My target group is made up of 75 students, 25 from each school, and I choose to categorize them by age rather than by their year of study because of the differences and major differences in the educational systems. So, for instance, the timetable in Taiwan is really flexible and it depends upon the needs of the students. On average, the entire process includes 2 years of preschool education, 6 years of primary school, 3 years of junior high school, 3 years of senior high school. And then when you move towards the university and college, that can vary between 4 and 7 years. And even the doctoral degree program can vary between 2, but no more than 7 years. And also and Spain is also a bit different from what we are used to, as elementary school and middle school are considered compulsory. Here we're talking about primaria and secundaria. In primaria, you go when you turn 6 years, and you leave there with 12 years old, hopefully, having passed all the requirements in the exams, which is the Spanish equivalent for elementary or primary school that we would have home. In Spain, there is secundaria, when students enter with 12 years old and live with 16 years old, which would be a mixture of middle school and the first 2 years of high school. This is these are considered the basic education requirements. And these guys, about the textbooks I've been working on, I've got high flyer for the Romanian group, a new action for the Spanish group, and a starting line students for the people in Taiwan. And all the textbooks are approved by the Minister of the Education of each country. In my attempt to answer my thesis question, a quantitative and a qualitative content analysis was carried out, as well as a number of interconnected research methodologies such as the content analysis of the selected textbooks, the linguistic analysis of the selected textbooks, and an analysis of structured interviews addressed to 25 of the beneficiaries of each coursebook. And the integration of a range of different analytical methods, hopefully, in my very humble opinion, has the chances to provide a comprehensive account of stereotyping in educational materials. So when talking about quantitative analysis of the content, I have been looking at genderized and non-genderized characters, as I thought it would be fair to organize the characters in a book into these two categories. Then I'm also looking at the presence or the absence of male or female characters, both in writing and in visuals. Moving towards the qualitative analysis of the content, here I'm scrutinizing the work and profession of the characters, the leisure activities they are engaged in, family and household, social status and achievement, dialogue topics, and also turn-taking. And a third tool that I use to structured interview, and here I began asking students more general questions, such as how do they think that men and women are treated in the school environment, then how, or if they could notice any issues with regard to gender equality during the English classes. And only then I moved to asking more specific questions, such as does your English textbook show proportionate numbers or a fair number of male and female, or are the females depicted in active roles or in leadership roles as much as the men tend to be? Moving to some examples of the textbook analysis, such as the genderized and non-genderized characters. Here I thought it's fair, from the amount of characters existing in the text, to set apart those who can be assigned genders and those who cannot. So I call them genderized and non-genderized characters. Turn-taking, I found it as a valuable tool for my analysis, because I quite felt that gender is mildly associated with order of turn. So if men are more likely to elicit interactions, women seem to be more likely to respond to elicitations. And here's an example in this listening exercise where A is actually a male and B a female. Where are you going this Saturday? The male is asking, and then he's eliciting all the details about the way the woman was just about to spend her Saturday. And in the end, he ends up joining the woman and her friends. I also had a look at the social status and achievement of the characters in the books, as I was very curious to find out whether there's a tendency of focusing only on the success of male or female characters, or both of them, and sometimes they just come together within the same article. Okay, so for me it was also very interesting to have a look at the way characters were portrayed when it comes to family and household. And sometimes in speaking exercises such as this one, mom and dad seem to share the same amount of responsibility, to put the same amount of effort into the family work. However, there are also cases when the mom goes back to the figure of the caretaker, so she would be on her own here with the child or the dentist, and obviously there's a sailor, policeman, a robber, and none of them seem to be accompanied by a child. Having reached this part of my presentation, well, I can here only give the general conclusions to which I have arrived. No doubt errors will have crept in as well at this point of my research, but I'm looking forward to revising my conclusions at a later point. So what I'm seeking to confirm or to inform are things such as, are the female characters appearing less often than the male ones? Do women play more the traditional family roles than the men do? How about non-genderized and genderized characters? Where do we find these more, in written or in visuals? I really need to confirm this one, because from what I've managed to gather, I have the feeling that the most noticeable failing is the lack of depiction of a woman in other roles than the traditional ones, the homemakers and mothers. And another question that I've had in mind from the very beginning of my research was, if one of the books seems to be more likely to depict or an inaccurate or false picture about reality.
Gender stereotyping for me is like putting each gender, like girls in one area, boys in another area, and like only boys can do this and girls can do that.
Para mí los estereotipos son los estereotipos básicos que pone la sociedad de los chicos tienen que vestir de azul, no pueden vestir de falda o maquillarse porque si no son mal vistos en la sociedad, y las chicas igual tienen que vestir muy femenino y si visten bastante masculino son mal vistos en la sociedad y por eso estereotipan cada género.
Es una manera de ver la diferencia entre los distintos géneros que nos dan desde muy pequeños, como el uso del color rosa para las niñas solo o el color azul para los niños, etc.
De cele mai multe ori, da, în principiu atunci când avem activități școlare, fetele au mai multă prioritate, mai multă atenție.
Yes, I've seen some cases of gender discrimination as a student. Like, for example, when a teacher would say, any strong boys can pick up a table and take it to one place. And then, like, a girl would say, can I do it? And the teacher would be like, no, you're a girl, you're not strong enough. And then, like, the boys could do it, but the girls couldn't.
Personalmente yo no mucho, pero sí que se han dado caso alguna vez que me digan de que por ser niña tengo que sacar muy buenas notas, teniendo al lado a un compañero que sea niño y nunca le han dicho que por ser niño tiene que sacar buenas notas y por eso me ha molestado alguna vez.
Thank you very much for your time and consideration. I'm looking really forward to receiving your feedback at your earliest convenience. That will be really valuable for me at this point of my research. Thank you very much and have a lovely day.